So we're gonna talk a lot about your Harvard lifestyle, but first I want to talk about life before Harvard, so people can get context of where you came from before this situation.
Yeah, so there's sort of three parts to the story because I was born in Seattle. I moved to Dallas, then I moved to DC. DC, I spent about 10 years. So from age 10 to now, I'm 22. We've been in DC. So I graduated from high school at age 18. I was in DC from 10 to 18. So being born in Seattle, is really unique because it's West Coast, so it's West Coast culture. Like laid back, relaxed, quiet, that type of environment. Moving to Dallas, still slow, but stuff's a little bit more turned up, right? The magnitude, the scale is larger, right? Everybody's putting their life on the line for football. Everything you eat, everything you do, everything you sleep, breathe is football. And that's where I fell in love with football. Moved to DC and everything's extremely fast paced. It's not like the West Coast, it's not like the South. It's like all the way turned up. That inspires a hustle. My parents are hustlers, but that inspired a hustle within me because being on the East Coast, man, the trains move fast, the cars move fast, everybody's honking, everybody's moving, everybody's walking fast, everything stays open late. It's just hustle. And so it puts me in this mind state of hustle, work, because the environment matches my energy and my energy matches the environment. And so I ended up, playing ball and all through school. My parents made sure that, when I was playing ball, I had to go complete my homework before I went to practice, complete my homework before I would go outside. Even if I didn't know the homework answers, whatever, I would just stay there until I figured it out. Sometimes even missing practice because the homework wasn't done. And that put me at that level to when I got to high school, bro, it was just like clockwork. Like, you wake up at 6, you listen to some motivational videos, read the word of God, listen to the music that you enjoy, you work out, you go to school. You get to school and you're at school all day and you master that craft. And you put everything you can. You raise your hand in class. You ask extra questions. You stay after class. Whatever it takes. And then you go to practice again, whether that's track or football, or track first, then football. Then you get home and you do your homework and you stay up as long as it takes to get the homework done, and then you come back the next morning and complete it. I was able to do that because I had a goal. Like, I knew I wanted to go to college for free. So every day that I'm working like that, I know where I want to get. So what I would add is this. The reason that I got here was because I knew exactly where I wanted to be. Like, I knew I wanted to go to college for free. I knew I wanted a lot of offers. So I knew exactly what plan I had to take to get that. And I just, every single day, put that work in.
So, would it be out of the box thinking that you would make it to Harvard, or was that something that was in that trajectory? Was Harvard the goal?
No, not Harvard necessarily, but the goal was to be among the best. The goal was to put myself where I belong. And that should be the goal for all of us, to go where we want. And when I say we're among the best, I wanted to be among the greatest thinkers, the greatest inventors, no matter what institution that was at. So I felt like that was at Harvard because I understand the social wealth that being an alumnus of this institution provides. And I desired that for my community in order to make moves in my community and for my community that I wanted. I figured that, and by my community, I mean poor kids around the world in every country.
So what made you have that frame of mind, though? Did your environment show you that that was possible for you? Or?
Well, Deion Sanders is like my Michael Jackson. Like every artist has a favorite artist, and every artist's favorite artist is like Michael Jackson. Deion Sanders was that for me, and he was a coach for me when I was in Texas. And so he showed me what impact looks like. He showed me that a man is not real or fake, but it's like a man's job.
So he coached you before?
Yeah, from about ages 5 to 10. Okay. So like my foundational years alongside my stepdad and my mom and my dad were with Deion Sanders, who's now the greatest coach and probably is going to go on a 20-year run, right, Lord willing, and be the greatest coach of all time, perhaps. But certainly the most important coach in college football at this particular moment. And he coached me with that same energy, that same fire, that same order, that same discipline, that same focus, that same hunger, that same care for community. So I was just raised around people that cared about community. Here's one more thing. Growing up in poor neighborhoods, I just learned from my parents that I have to care about my people, because poor people are forgotten about in these spaces. We just kind of focus on, improving like the places that rich people are most of the time and investing in those places. We don't make the investments in poor communities. My parents went without that investment, and they inspired me to care about myself and my peers and my colleagues and my friends. So I felt like coming to Harvard would give me that leverage.
Okay. I think that's great context. So, freshman year, Ru, you stepped foot on campus. First month at Harvard, was it what you expected?
I sat down with a girl who's gonna be like Ava DuVernay one day, and I told her that I felt like first week of school, the H in Harvard really stands for heaven. Yeah, that's what I thought during my first week. Things change over time. You grow, you understand new things, and for me, I was just so excited to come from where I came from, bro, and be sitting on Widener Steps, the second largest university library in the world, at the oldest school in the country. It just felt like such a Magnus, huge, Texas-sized blessing. Therefore, I gave that glory to God and said, like, yo, this has to be meant to be. This has to be written by God. And so I felt like I wanted to operate in this space as if it was heaven, as if it was a space that was made for me to thrive, to be safe. When I realized, like, the weight of the moment, when I realized that I came from this particular environment, poverty, violence, homelessness, living in shelters, and I'm at Harvard, it just was like, I gotta give glory to God, and I wanna walk through here as if it's heaven, as if I'm supposed to be here, as if opportunity and abundance and resource and safety and peace are all mine and belong to me. And I've done my best to do that, but not just those abundant resources, but also that this place is my home. Like, thinking of it in terms of heaven helped me to understand that I belong and that I am allowed to and encouraged to and expected to be a part of the renovation process. Whether that's renovating the policy at the institution, whether that is renovating the space or adding artwork that helps all people feel included, whatever it is at that level, whether that's making argument about how the curriculum needs to evolve, I get to do that because this is my home, just like heaven is my home. So I'm so grateful that I think about it that way, because it inspires a level of like proactivity and initiative. It's like, yo, this is heaven. Let's go. Let's make sure we're at that standard. Let's make sure we're taking care of each other at that level. Let's make sure we're humble at that level, loving at that level, and make sure our ideas are at heaven level. Like, the sidewalks are gold in heaven. Like, let's be at that level of innovation. I came into Harvard expecting to be at the highest level, God level innovation.
Okay, that's deep. So what are you studying here?
Formally, I'm studying Black history. I've been counseled to study formally, but always be studying informally as well. So informally, my areas of focus are design, love, and economics. So I'm always thinking about how to design everything in every industry, how to redesign so that we can love each other better. So I'm always studying love as well. So as I think about design, I can think about how to implement love in our design. And then I'm thinking about economics because economics is a field of study that involves a bunch of equations that predict outcomes. And so I'm always thinking in terms of equations, like that person plus that person equals these outcomes, or this city plus these resources equals X outcomes, or this time period plus these trends equals these outcomes. And I think in terms of that because a lot of people think they're not good at math, but many of us are good at math, we're just not necessarily good with numbers. And that's okay, because you can insert other objects in place of the numbers. You take the 5 out, you put a house. House plus kids plus love equals wealth. Husband plus wife plus love equals health. Like that, science says yes to that. Science says if you're in a loving relationship with a man and a woman, you're more likely to live long. So we got to do math. That my theory is we should be doing math in all the areas. So I'm a researcher as a student, and so my formal practice is Black history, but my informal practice is putting together love, design, and economics in order to ensure that we redesign a world and we design that world that is heaven on earth.
And why do you think love is such a major component to that?
Well, I humble myself at the feet of like the greatest thinkers of all time. and all of them point to love as the answer. Even like if Martin King is your favorite, like philosopher, movement builder, movement leader, politician, innovator,
Albert Einstein.
those guys are gonna go to love. Those guys are gonna teach you and inspire you about love, and that taught me something that I probably need to listen. That if all of these really great figures are pointing to love one way or another, then there has to be some truth there. And then I took my time and I spent time studying love to see for myself. And it seems to be the only answer, love. Love is the only answer that encompasses all of our needs. So like the LGBTQIA plus community is asking for things, kids are asking for things, parents are asking for things, teachers are asking for things, employees are asking for things, CEOs are asking for things, men are asking for things, women are asking for things, and we all have different needs. But love by itself can meet every single person's needs. Truth alone can't do that. Justice alone can't do that. Kindness alone can't do that. Fairness alone can't do that. Love by itself could take care of everyone's needs. That's my theory, based on a bunch of research thinking about, breathing about love.
So how would you explain love?
I would describe love, well, it depends. Who am I describing it to?
To me,
Who are you?
Jay Johnson. I'm just someone that, of course, wants to show people unconditional love. Show love in my business, show love in my content, and just who I show up in the world. So, yeah.
All right. Then I would tell you that love is...
And I know there's different variations of it, but in just a simple sense, what would you say?
Yeah, I'd say love happens when you take the steps to ensure that a person's soul is in the best possible state.
Okay.
It's like your soul is your software. Love is constantly updating your friend's software.
That's an interesting way to put it. I like that.
You're a tech guy.
Yeah, something like that. So, how's community been at Harvard? Has it been easy finding your tribe, or did it take a couple of years, or did it take a couple of weeks? And those people you met early on, are they still around? And how has it basically been in that sense?
Yeah, college is difficult because we come in young, we come in with little experience on relationships, on friendship, on anything other than like studying. Like we're really good at studying, we're really good at researching. We're not that good at like friendship. We're not that good at like loving necessarily. We're not that good at the things that we need in order to thrive. And so we have to bump our heads. We have to like get into breakups. We have to like friendships fall apart. We have to offend each other. It just is a part of the process. And so, that's come with it. That has come with it. So some friends, you keep like, particularly the football guys, I came in playing ball and, in the dining room today, you can see me showing love to the football guys and we still show love. And today we hung out with Anthony Nelson, who's preparing for the draft. It's like, he's a football guy. So a lot of us, that's a sort of fraternity, Harvard football. We still locked in. And you have select people. There's a guy named Sterling who, since I was a freshman, he's been there for me. He's been a tremendous friend. He's in Colorado right now. We're still in friendship, no matter where he is in the country. He just visited for my birthday. So it depends on the relationship. Right? Community overall, I'll say this, depends on what you want to build, what you're designing. So there's a community for everybody and everything. It all depends about what you're designing, what you're building, what you care about. For the things I care about, I find community that agrees with me, that cares. For example, you're not from here, but you and me think very similarly. You and me build very similarly. So for me, community is not just about being like at the place. Community is a worldwide thing. Like I'm at Harvard and that's cool, but my community is not subject and confined to Harvard. So I like to bring my friends to Harvard. Open up the walls so that my friends can come that are not here. What about my friends in Africa, my friends in Brazil, my friends in Ecuador, my friends in Spain, my friends in Paris? They get to come here and be a part of this space with me. as opposed to feeling as though I have to, go out of my way, out of my comfort, out of my safety to build relationships at a place. I just believe in being connected with who God puts on my path and building with those people.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, starting off on the football team, how long were you on the football team for?
2 seasons. Well, COVID and then 1 season. So 2 years.
Okay. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but how was that football experience? And then after that, how was the transition on coming out of that space and the mindset shifts and things of that nature? Because I know with a lot of athletes, it's hard for them to be like, I'm no longer an athlete. So how was that for you?
Well, we'll start there. Like, for me, it was the transition was beautiful because I already knew before I quit that I was more than an athlete. So it wasn't like quit and then realize, oh, there's more to life than football. I knew that since I was 5, because remember, I couldn't even go to football practice if I didn't complete my homework. I was a student government president in 1st grade. I was a student government president in 2nd grade. I was a student government president in 3rd grade. So I was already utilizing leadership skills. I'm talking about none of that's on your resume. Harvard doesn't care. Like, that's not on your high school resume, what you did in elementary. That's just who you are. I was showing up bringing like lollipops with marketing messages to get the kids to vote for me, inspired by my mom, who's essentially the board of directors, the advisor, and who's teaching me entrepreneurship. My stepdad, they were street entrepreneurs at points in their lives, and they took that expertise and taught me, and I took that into school. So I knew I was not just a ball player. In fact, ball was a vehicle, it was a mechanism to achieve and to extract more out of this experience called life. So, football, in Harvard football, beautiful experience, tremendous men, tremendous program, run by one of the greatest coaches in college football history in Tim Murphy. I learned so much about life. Many of those guys inspired me and still do inspire me. And these are some of the greatest men on earth, truly. Like, they achieve at the highest levels. They earn the most money, right? Like, they are extremely healthy and physically fit. These guys are good. These guys are good men, and I'm grateful that I got to play with them. And I'm happy to still have relationships. Truman Jones, who was 2021, I think, or 2022 Harvard football captain, just won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, bro, this is amazing. Danny Abraham's preparing for the draft. Anthony Nelson's preparing for the draft. Kim Wimberly preparing for the draft. These are guys that are 1 or 2 years older than me that I watch put work in every single day. Chris Smith went to Notre Dame and then went to the combine, and I'm not sure on the terms of his career, but pursued a career at the highest level. These guys are tremendously great, and they've shown through and through that they're phenomenal. So I'm grateful to be able to learn from them and with them.
Okay, amazing. Now we can kind of shift gears. I want to go back to somewhat of the love conversation. What do you think is missing? Let's talk about specifically America, because it seems like there's a lot of divide, a lot of fear, a lot of hate. What do you think the system needs right now to be rebuilt and to transform and transmute into something where people can feel love? Because I feel like a lot of people don't feel that energy.
Do you agree the opposite of love is fear?
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. So under that premise, if we're going to use that theory, let's just call that theory true for a second, and then we're going to go from there. So that's going to be our seed, that the opposite of love is fear. You can't live in love if you live in fear. What we've addressed, or what we're going to address here, is that America lives in fear. White women are so scared that that every black man in this country knows that she's going to clutch that purse and cross the street. White men are so scared, they're shooting you before they even know if you have a weapon. Kids are so scared, they're going to school committing crimes or
not even going.
Or not even going, and and hiding that information from their parents for fear of being abused. Parents are so afraid, they're beating their kids because they have so much pressure on them from work, bills, student loans, all these things that America told them they have to buy into, and their parents told them they have to buy into. Guys, we're in a spiritual, mental, emotional war. It just manifests itself through our bodies. Our bodies only move because of what's happening in our hearts and our minds. So we're not shooting because our fingers want us to shoot. We're shooting because our minds and our hearts want us to shoot. So my theory is we have to address any of the principles, ideas, paradigms, ways of thinking, these equations, essentially. We have to redesign the equations through which we live so that love can be our outcome. So right now, all of our equations only lead to fear because we're not actually including the right variables in our equations. We're just like black guy must be danger. We're like black guy plus nighttime equals danger. That does not involve love. We have to redesign that in order to ensure that we're able to think clearly through these things so that we're not continually producing fear as our result and our outcome.
Okay, so, you know, of course there's the media that pushes certain fear-mongering messages, certain school systems that are teaching people, you know, not the full truth. So being in ignorance can also necessarily put you in fear in a way as well. So, you know, what other things are you seeing that are leading towards this paradigm of fear in America and things that can shift?
Well, you're right. Any person, place, or thing that promotes ideas, anything that pushes any idea is either a part of the solution or a part of the problem. Period. Everything that exists, we're in a library. All those books are devices with ideas on them. You just go to those books to download the idea into your own software. When you're watching the news, all you're doing is downloading information onto your software. That's called data. Data, information, ideas, principles, you're just downloading that. When you listen to the radio, you're just downloading ideas into your software. When you get on TikTok, you're just downloading ideas into your software. Sometimes we're super confused because all we do is scroll. So then when you go inside of my brain, all my brain's doing is flipping through ideas. And so I think that media true, radio true, TV true, movies true, YouTube true. You can keep going. But that's also the same places where we get our good ideas. That's also the same places where we get our love. But it's because we're intentional about what we're eating, figuratively speaking. Like we care about who am I going to listen to? Why am I going to listen to them? I mentioned to you that when I'm in high school, I'm waking up every day, I'm listening to E.T. the hip-hop preacher tell me, keep working, hustle, go get it, believe in yourself, put your family on your back. That was the food that I needed. That was the information I was downloading into my software that got me 7 out of 8 Ivy League schools. Because I'm eating that information every single day. I'm a kid from the hood. Those coaches took a chance on me, believed in me. It made an investment. It's not really a chance. Like they made a very extremely intentional investment. These are schools with billion-dollar endowments. They have a tremendous responsibility when they deploy their coaches out into the community. They're going out to pick the best talent in the world, regardless of country, like in the world. And 7 out of 8 schools, and the one that didn't call me is the worst performing school on that list. So it doesn't mean that I'm the reason why. I mean that because there's kids that have to know. Like sometimes you get left out, but it's not you. So the information is coming from everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into some of the projects you're currently working on. Feel free to share as much as you want.
Yeah, I told you about design, and I share this because the thesis that inspires all of the work is that love is the medicine to the world's aches and pains. So as I'm designing anything, I'm designing it with as much love as I can possibly figure out how to do. So I'm building an organization called Save the Students, which raises the self-esteem of Gen Z in order to make them more civically engaged. We want them to vote more. We want us to vote more. We want us to love ourselves better. We want us to love each other better. So civic engagement and emotional and mental health. Because remember, I told you it's a mental, emotional, and spiritual war. We want to take our health in our minds and in our hearts to the maximum level we can get it. And we're running programming throughout the year to go to elementary, middle, and high schools and colleges and universities to do workshops on self-esteem. How did this kid who, the first time I lost somebody to gun violence, I was 5 years old. My granddad was shot in the head the next year. My stepdad was shot months later. My cousin was shot by his stepdad when I was 12. When I was 15, my teammate was murdered. When I was 17 or 16, the same stepdad that I said got shot when I was 6 was shot again and was murdered. And those are just people in my family. I didn't mention all the friends that we lost along that way. How does that kid come from there and also be homeless half a dozen times and also be poor and watch my parents not be able to pay the bills, but still get 7 or 8 Ivies, still build a 6-figure company while in high school, in the poorest school district in the country, in the poorest performing school district in the country? How does it happen? My answer is self-esteem. And it goes overlooked. There's some studies out there that talk about it, but I'm listening. I'm at the greatest institution in the world. People are not talking about it. Not at scale. As valuable as it is, it should be talked about more. And it's not. And so Save the Students is doing a job of saving the students through self-esteem.
Okay. So self-esteem is basically your confidence in who you are.
Yeah.
Would you say self-awareness is part of self-esteem?
Absolutely. Why do you think so?
I just think knowing who you are gives you confidence because you know exactly the trajectory you want to go to. If I'm, saying I don't know who I am, so I'm going to look at this guy, and follow his lead, I don't feel as confident because I don't know if that's truly what's in my soul and my true mission. But when you know deep essence, like who you truly are, and honestly, also how this human experience and how your human body interacts with reality on top of that self-awareness, so you have a full, like, multi-dimensional level of self-awareness, that's when you can maximize your potential.
I think you're right. And I'm inspired to think about, as we discuss multidimensionality, we have to think about all the layers of life. And these principles and ideas, we can't see them or touch them, but they exist. We must know that. We must know that the universe, science says, the greatest researchers in history suggest, through their research, that the universe has laws that just work. Gravity, for example, it just exists. We can't touch it, but it's real. You can jump and find out.
Vibration.
Vibration. We can talk about the law of attraction. We can talk about alignment and the way that the planets work together and the way that so many other things in life work together that we haven't realized and fathomed. When we think about these things, it like he said, self-awareness, when you're aware of where you are, who you are, why you are, your ability to achieve increases tremendously. And that comes through introspection, which is looking inside of yourself. And that comes through looking outside of yourself too, to find yourself out there. Like, you can look at the world to help it be a mirror for you to understand who you are.
Because that's part of my mission, I believe, is helping raise people's self-awareness, like their conscious awareness, knowing the truth about, just reality, and because that allows you to navigate it at a higher velocity and utilize what, the world or God has gave you. We went to the studio last night. What inspires you to create music?
I just do it. Everywhere I go, I'm always rapping. I'm always putting words together. I'm an equations guy. I think about, how does this sentence work with the next sentence, to produce X outcome. I want you to feel like being in tune with yourself in the world when you listen to my music. And so I use my sentences, my verbs, and my nouns to produce that outcome. So I add a certain type of beat with certain type of sentences in order to produce particular outcome. And that outcome is, I want you to look at yourself in the world after you listen to my music and while you're listening to it. So I asked you the other day, like today, when you listen to the songs, like, we measure our songs by if they have that feeling. Just that feeling. And when you get that feeling, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Most people would have just taken the one route, the one-dimensional route, and that's what they preach to people. If you focus on one thing, you'll be great at it. And I truly believe that, yeah. But what if I focus on 3 things and keep focusing on them over a long period of time? Would I have the chance to be great at all 3? And especially with this AI world, social media world, where you can post a TikTok and it reach people globally, and then you're now having passive income. Okay, now that I have $10,000 coming in per month profit, I can just focus in on training every day and not have to worry about, Nike, the Nike deal, or them cutting me off one day randomly and now I'm in deep depression, right? Like I can have a different, what's the word? Just emotion when it comes to how I'm navigating my life, where there's nobody I really have to obey except for God. And that's what a lot of people lose, especially in the pro athlete space, is like they sign these sponsorship contracts. Now they can't even listen to God for real. They got to listen to these brands and what the brands tell them they have to say. And they can't step out of line or they'll get cut like Ye. And that was a bar.
That was a bar. That was a bar. That's bars. It's true. Me and my homies describe it like we have to buy ourselves out of slavery before we can be free. And you can do that by going to get a job, or you can do that by selling a company, or you can do that by going to the league and playing for a few years and stacking your money. Or you can do that by taking your route and living a life that's like, different than whatever the world says yes to, but you have the freedom you want to live and to dream and to exist as you want to. So I believe in that. We were talking about
raising capital as well.
Yeah.
And how scholarships, you could say the analogy, because that was a great analogy you had about scholarships and aligning with raising capital. If you don't know, like 90% of the companies, big companies, you see like Coinbase, Facebook, SpaceX, Amazon, they all raise capital from other people's money. So that's venture capitalists, private equity people. They give them money to build their company. So
yeah, so I had 25 offers to play football in college. 7 of the 8 Ivies, 18 other schools, and a couple of schools too. So, a little bit more than 25, but 25 offers. Based on that model, let's say it costs $250,000 for a career in college as a student athlete. So that's the merch, or the like athletic gear, that's the facilities, that's the food, that's the education, all that. Let's say it costs $250,000 on average per school. So if I have 4 schools, that means I've raised $1 million. Now if I have 28 schools, I've raised $7 million, according to this theory. So we're out here scared to like go fundraise for an organization or fundraise for a company, but we've already shown that we can do that. If you get a track scholarship, if you get a private school scholarship, you've demonstrated that you know how to raise money. And the reason that matters is because the only way we're going to get to that level of wealth, that we can really change policy and at that level, is by raising capital in the particular structures that exist in this nation to win.
Yeah, and I truthfully believe people overcomplicate this world. So raising capital is nothing but a conversation and a wire transfer. I've seen it in real time. I've seen people my age, 21, 22, 23, raise capital with no pitch deck, no MVP barely, and get wired $250,000. So the conversation is really being able to tell a story. That's why personally this last couple of years, after being in Silicon Valley, I've been working on my storytelling. Because storytelling is sales, it's raising capital, it's getting girls, right? It's networking, being able to tell your story. So, like, you have to understand who you are to tell your story. And it goes back to self-awareness. And it goes back to self-esteem even, right? And knowing how to articulate your journey in a way that someone wants to do something for you. And you can leverage that. And I just, like, you just gotta sit in how often do you sit in self-reflection mode? And just reflect on, how could I have said that better? Or what am I doing in my life that is great? Or like, how can I articulate my story? How often do you do self-reflection, you would say?
I'm reflecting while I'm making decisions. I'm reflecting before I make decisions, and I'm reflecting after I make the decision. My argument is that My argument is that I'm always reflecting. because I'm constantly trying to see myself from outside of myself so that I can get the best output possible. I want to make sure every meeting I take, I give myself the best chance to close the deal. So I'm looking at myself from outside, even when I'm in that moment, so I can ensure to move in a way that will ensure I score the touchdowns that I want to score in that game. You know what I mean?
Okay. So what kind of questions do you ask yourself, you think?
I usually ask about whoever I'm encountering first. I ask about them so that I can understand what I best need to know about me to serve this person. So in every interaction, I'm thinking about how I can serve them. Even if my goal is to raise money, I'm thinking about why do they do it? Like, how does me asking them for money help them? And I start there. But I have to know that person. If I don't know it, I start asking questions to them.
Okay. So you do some work in venture capital right now.
Yep.
Can you explain a little bit about that and
absolutely.
the journey?
So I'm an entrepreneur in residence at a social impact VC firm, which essentially means I'm sitting in the VC firm, meeting with some of the portfolio company founders, portfolio companies being the companies that the actual firm invests in and has invested in and still is investing in. I'm also ideating around concepts that I really believe in and taking them to our fund manager and to the rest of the team to get input and advice and constructive criticism about it. And so, in that space, I've gotten an opportunity to just see VC, and you're right that so much of it is literally just storytelling. It's, can you get on a call and explain to this fund manager or this partner how you're going to help him? If you cannot do that, you will not get any money from them. Typically, they're not going to work hard to understand your company. You have to work hard for them to understand your company. That's your job. But instead of even trying to get them to understand your company, just understand them. That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm taking away. If you understand him or her, you have a much higher chance of getting the deal closed. For example, you want to play for Saban? Don't think about yourself. Think about Saban. Think about what is Saban like in a player, and be that. I think it's that simple, because Saban's extremely clear about what he expects from a player. And if you are that, you're very likely to go play for Saban. And the same thing is true when you look at Harvard. Yeah, it's clear what you could get out of Harvard. But have you ever asked Harvard what you can give it? And I think if you do, you increase your chances of going to the institution. Here's what I can do for you. Hey, hey VCs, here's how I'm gonna help you. And so I'm thinking about that a lot and thinking about how to do that at scale and executing it too, also just really doing it.
So how much capital does the fund have?
50 million.
50 million.
Which in VC terms is like a really small amount of money.
But to regular people terms, a lump sum.
Yes. Yeah. The average American, 50 million is a lot. But we know there are funds that are 50 billion.
That's true.
So it's like 50 million is like chump change. They're giving out $50 million checks. I just talked to a fund manager who's only giving out $100 million. Like, his smallest check size is $100 million. I didn't even know what kind of company you need to be building to. I don't know that yet. Like, AI company, maybe SpaceX. You know what I mean? But outside of that, on average, companies aren't raising that. Now you're talking. That's some Tesla stuff right there, though. Some stuff that, and I haven't examined beyond love. I haven't imagined, building companies on some of those principles yet. Some of those, what's the Tesla quote?
The unphysical phenomenon?
Yeah.
So Tesla said, once the society starts focusing and innovating in unphysical phenomena, we would basically evolve more in 10 years than we did in 100 years. So
in thinking about love, I have been able to achieve that. And that's why I have advanced as a 22-year-old. People are confused as to if I'm really 22 or how the hell I'm 22, because I've focused designing around love. And when I think about companies, I want to do. We are doing the exact same thing.
So, and what you're talking about here is diving into quantum physics here, because that frequency that you're on is putting you in certain positions in reality to accelerate your growth and get closer to the future version of yourself because of that alchemical process, right? Like, our world is basically, getting reprinted to us in nanoseconds, to where just because I had a thought about something, or I'm consistently, navigating towards a certain trajectory, the world wants to provide you with what you want out of life. So if you're in the right frequency, you're able to attract things in your life at an accelerated rate.
Yep.
Well said. Yeah.
Well, extremely well said. So, yes.
So, and I believe that's the beauty of what Tesla said about unphysical phenomena, because once you start learning the inner version of you, the outer version of you and your reality starts to shift.
And it has to, because that's just the way it works. For every action, there is a reaction. And the reaction that your body has is based on what's happening inside of you. So if you are in control of what's happening inside of you, you can control what happens outside of you. Obviously, we're human, so there also are laws that are bigger than us. There will be natural disasters that trump my ability to control the environment. God may decide something else, and that will get in the way of stop my ability to control the environment. But for some large percentage of my existence as a human, I have more control than I was taught I have, and I believe in it. And so I don't really worry too much about I put my energy and focus on designing the things that I want to see based on love. That's where my energy is. We could talk about these people don't get it, and it's a waste of time, because me and you know that there's only so much time. So with the time I have, I'd rather not use it discussing what somebody else is doing. I want to use it to inspire those who want it. I want to use it to write books for those who want to read it. I'm not interested in everybody reading the book. I don't need everybody listening to the song. I don't need everybody to like the post. I need the people that want it, to believe in it. So we're going to keep designing with that in mind. And at some point, I believe, if God lets us live, we will design, the dopest stuff. There's people who wanted to build the first $1 trillion company. I believe that we're going to break records in every industry because I'm thinking about it from a perspective of love. And people just usually don't go into business thinking about love. In fact, many men aren't even comfortable having a conversation about love out loud. And all of my pitches have love in them. All my decks have love in them. My first company was called RuQuan, because I believe absolutely in putting love first. And so I believe Amazon would be worth more money if they loved their employees better. Tesla would be worth more money if they knew love at that level. And frankly, I don't know what Elon Musk knows about love, so I won't say. But I will say, I think Harvard's endowment is $52 billion. My suggestion is it 10x's if it knows love, and therefore it can do more. You can do more with love. You earn more with love. So that's my theory, and I'm gonna test that out. And my life is gonna be a research project, a dissertation, a thesis for the world to see, what happens when you love.
Love and work hard. Okay. So I know you're graduating soon. What's the first move after graduation for you?
I don't know, because I don't know tomorrow, but I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm fundraising for my organization. We have a $1 million goal by June 1. We're raising $1 million to operate the organization for the next couple of years. We'll do another fundraising cycle about a year after that. And we're going to build this movement with poor college students around this country. And we're going to do that as a statement, as a testament to the world to believe in and invest in poor people. So my mission is to build this organization, run the programming, build it out with poor college-age students from around the country, run the programming, take that research, take that information, that data, to policymakers so they can rewrite policy that would invest in that same demographic of student that I invested in myself. And I believe that at scale, if we do this, we also curb crime, we curb teen pregnancy, we curb drug usage, because kids want something that they can put their hands on and work at. For example, I know a young lady who was considering suicide this week. And I heard her talking about an organization that she joined where she's going to work as a creative in that organization. And she discussed out loud how much being able to put her hands, energy, time into this movement that she cared about and believed in shifted her mindset about life. So she's no longer having suicidal thoughts because she wanted somewhere to put her energy that could be good, that could be contributive to positivity, that could help to remedy some of the problems that she was experiencing that did push her to that point. And I believe that at scale we'll do that for a lot more kids around the country, and it'll change our world for the better. So I'm excited and I'm inspired to achieve that, and I'm super open to taking meetings and am taking meetings every single day with my team and outside of my team to discuss how we continue to develop the infrastructure, the foundation, but also the fundraise so that we can achieve that at scale. And we're going to keep telling the story, and I'm glad you were here this week to be able to tell the story and show the work that we're putting in. You know, 20 years, 30 years, kids are going to watch this, and now they're going to watch it. They're going to see, I'm not just here, and we're working our asses off. We're flying our friends in so that we can document the story. We're not just here.
Yeah.
We're not just in the library. We're in the library designing the digital work that we believe in. Media videos, these short videos on our phones are about as powerful as digital songs became 20 years ago, when, or you know, whatever it was when Amazon first put music online. Like, we are at the front of a revolution. We are at the first few years of a revolution, and we're intentional about it. We know it, and we're being active and proactive about it.
Yep. It's a beautiful thing. Well, man, I have full faith in you.
Thank you.
And I'm sending love, more love.
Let's go, baby. More love.
You know, we gonna make it happen. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you showing me around Harvard campus. I feel like I'm too smart for Harvard now. Yeah, we gonna sign out. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Tell them your socials.
Follow me everywhere. Go to SaveTheStudents.net first. Go to SaveTheStudents.net. Go to SaveTheStudents.net. And then follow me at RuQuan Savion.
We out.